we begin the only way worthy of this occasion. I request everyone to please keep standing for the national song and national anthem. I hereby now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, to honor the dignitaries. Your Excellency, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain, a soldier, scholar, strategist, and the Honorable Governor of Bihar, we are truly delighted with your gracious presence today. Here is a man who has spent nearly 4 decades doing what most of us only read about in textbooks. He commanded the legendary Chenab Corps in the Kashmir Valley, and where others saw only conflict, he saw an opportunity. He pioneered the heart's doctrine, the rather radical idea that winning people over works better than simply overpowering them. He went on to serve as military secretary at Army headquarters. And if that were not enough, he spent his retirement as the chairperson of the National Disaster Management Authority, because apparently, for His Excellency, rest is just a word in the dictionary. And so, Your Excellency, when we say you are uniquely placed to speak on disaster management and national security today, we mean it quite literally. We could have not found a better person for this lecture if we had tried. Welcome, sir. Chanakya National Law University, Patna is honored and delighted to have you. Honorable Mr. Justice Sangam Kumar Sahoo, Chief Justice of the Patna High Court, and our esteemed Chancellor, your presence, as always, lends both authority and inspiration to this occasion and institution. Our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Faizan Mustafa, whose vision and leadership continue to shape this institution into a center of legal excellence. We are grateful for your guidance in making this event a reality. All the honored guests, distinguished faculty members, all the participants of Vidhika 4.0, beloved students, members of the legal fraternity, a very warm welcome to each one of you at the ASHOKA Auditorium of Chanakya National Law University, Patna. There is a Sanskrit invocation that has guided institutions of learning for centuries. Ano bhadraha kratvo yantu vishvatah. Let the noble thoughts come to us from every direction. And today, as we gather in the name of Chanakya, the towering intellect who understood that law, statecraft, and security are not separate pursuits, but one unified vision, this invocation feels especially apt. It is my honored privilege to welcome you to the second Chanakya Memorial Lecture, a series that this university has instituted to carry forward the spirit of rigorous, consequential thought. We believe a law university must not confine itself to courtrooms and classrooms alone. It must engage with the largest question facing our nation. This series was inaugurated last year with remarkable distinction when His Excellency, the former Governor of Bihar, Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, a scholar, statesman, and one of the most erudite voices in contemporary public life, delivered the first lecture and set a standard of intellectual excellence that we aspire to honor with every subsequent edition. As an Urdu poet so wisely said, "हम परवशे लौ कलम करते रहेंगे, जो दिल पे गुजरती है, वो रकम करते रहेंगे." We shall keep nurturing the pen and the page. We shall keep recording that weighs upon the heart. That first lecture was such a beginning, and today we take that legacy, we take that journey forward. The theme of this lecture, disaster management and national security, could not be more timely. In a world where the boundaries between natural calamity, strategic vulnerability, and human resilience are increasingly blurred, we need voices that speak from both the battlefield and the realm of ideas. His Excellency brings to this occasion an extraordinary combination: decades of distinguished service, deep strategic thinking, and a rare gift of communicating complex truths with clarity and conviction. We are privileged, truly privileged, to learn from him today. We are also delighted to inaugurate Vidhika 4.0 on this occasion, a testament to the enterprise and energy of our students and the legal aid cell who make this university a place of both learning and action. To every guest, every student, each one of you present here, thank you for being a part of this moment. Great institutions are built not by brick and mortar alone, but by the conversations that take place within their boundaries. Today promises to be one such conversation. Welcome once again to Chanakya National Law University, Patna. They say a good host makes everyone feel at home. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Faizan Mustafa, has spent years doing exactly that. He is making CNLU a home for bold ideas and fearless thinking. Now, I request our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Mustafa, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, Your Excellency, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain, Honorable Governor of Bihar. We are humbled and honored by your gracious presence. The Honorable Chief Justice and our distinguished Chancellor, Honorable Mr. Justice Sangam Kumar Sahoo, your Lordship's presence sanctifies this occasion. Shri Vijay Kumar, Director General, Police Bihar, Shri J.S. Gangwar, Director General, Shri Santosh Kumar, Principal Secretary, Water Resources Department, my faculty colleagues, our scholar in residence from Japan, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students, participants of Vidhika, our stage is unique and historic today. You rarely come across when you see two chancellors in one frame. It's a rare sight. A very warm welcome to each one of you to the second Chanakya National Memorial Lecture, particularly the President of today's inaugural function of Vidhika and Memorial Lecture, our Honorable Chancellor. He is always available for the university's work and takes a lot of interest in our activities. I reach out to him on WhatsApp. My Lord, we welcome you here. Just like Rajendra Prasad Memorial Lecture, which I introduced here, unfortunately we had forgotten Rajendra Prasad. I also introduced Chanakya Memorial Lecture. Nobody thought of paying tribute to legendary Chanakya, despite all big talks about Indology and civilizational pride. The inaugural edition, as Ayan just told you, was graced by His Excellency Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, and now we have a second lecture from His Excellency Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain. It is my distinct honor to welcome His Excellency and introduce His Excellency and our chief guest and speaker for this morning to our audience. His Excellency Syed Hasnain has number of honors, Param Vishesh Seva Medal, and number of others. I don't want to take all those names. I had phoned him, he would recall, a few months back, and he talked about some of my articles. I wanted to take his consent to be the chancellor of one university, but the destiny had a different plan, and not only he became chancellor of multiple universities, but came to Bihar itself. When I met him after his taking over as the governor of Bihar, his first question was, having this constitutional office, what happens to my academics? And I told him that he can continue his academics. He can continue to teach university teachers. And just like a good lawyer, I said, but the first beneficiary should be my students. And therefore, it is the first lecture which His Excellency is giving in any university in Bihar. His Excellency has kept his words and is here to speak. We are really grateful to him and we welcome him. His Excellency's life reads like a lesson in commitment to something larger than oneself. Born into a family with deep roots in public service, he was commissioned into the Indian Army in 1973, and for next 4 decades, he gave the nation everything a soldier can give: courage, strategy, leadership, and above all, an unwavering belief in the dignity of every citizen he was sworn to protect. Your Excellency, you commanded the Srinagar Base 15 Corps, the most operationally demanding command in the Indian Army during a period of profound tension in the Kashmir Valley. And yet what distinguished your tenure was not only your military acumen and leadership, but your extraordinary empathy for everyone. You engaged communities, you listened, you understood, perhaps better than most, that lasting peace is not won through the barrel of a gun alone. It is built through trust, through dialogue, through the recognition that the people one is sworn to protect are not an abstraction. They are mothers, students, farmers, and citizens with hopes indistinguishable from our own. Post-retirement, His Excellency continued to serve as a keen strategic thinker, as a commentator on national security. Many of you must have read his op-eds, as a voice of reason in an era often characterized by its absence, as a tireless champion of idea that India's unity is its greatest strength. Your appointment as Governor of Bihar is not a retirement from service, it is service by another name. We are grateful that Your Excellency have chosen to share your wisdom with us today, and we anticipate that your address will leave a permanent imprint on the intellectual life of this institution, which is rediscovering itself. Let me come to Chanakya and Arthashastra. Arthashastra, all of us familiar with this name, 2,400 years old book. It covers 180 subjects and topics. It contains 6,000 sutras, 15 books, and 150 chapters. A friend of Chanakya asked him, why is that people hate you, are afraid of you, and consider you a man who cannot be trusted? Chanakya replied, listen, I am not in popularity game. For me, the purpose of life is greater than what the perception about me is. Following the footsteps of man after whom Chanakya is named, I am also not in a popularity game. I do whatever I think is in the best interest of my university and my students, and therefore would continue to argue for the causes that bother my students. What is the purpose? Asked friend. Nation building, replied Chanakya. We are all born in a great place, Bharat. Ours is a spiritual culture. This is the place where even gods feel lucky to have taken birth, unquote. Let me now turn to the theme that binds this occasion and this institution together, the ancient and yet perpetually modern wisdom of Chanakya, and its bearing on the great questions of our time. A disaster is nothing but a chaos. When there is chaos, Chanakya says leadership is required. Get a right leader. Leadership is all about decisions in complex situations. A good leader must be able to create utsah, enthusiasm, which is the key for success. Judge your leader, whether political or even vice chancellors, and see whether they are able to create utsah in you. This should be the parameter to judge a vice chancellor. Chanakya continued and said, in the happiness of subject lies the benefit of the king, and in what is beneficial to the subjects, unquote. But mere happiness or sukh cannot be the end. You may be happy with drinking, drugs, and indiscipline, but Chanakya uses another term, hit, or well-being. This is what should be the motto of any university, that it must work for the well-being of its students. Chanakya's ideas, at their core, are a text about the state. Not the state as an abstract entity, but the state as a moral actor, one that owes its people not merely governance, but protection, not merely order, but justice, not merely law, but welfare. The Sanskrit verse conceptualized by Chanakya Praja Sukhe Sukham Ragya best captures the vision of Raj Dharma, the duty of the ruler. Any central is Raj Dharma for any state: protection of weak, protection of vulnerable, protection from disaster is the Raj Dharma. Every Indian ruler, as per our rich civilizational ethos, is bound by his or her Raj Dharma and refrain from abusing his or her powerful position. In 1940s, the great economist Amartya Sen demonstrated through his landmark work on the Bengal famine that the catastrophic deaths of millions were not caused by an absence of food. They were caused by the failure of governance, a failure of entitlement, and ultimately a failure of a state's duty to its most vulnerable citizens. The food existed, the failure was political. Sen said that famines are not natural disasters, they are social ones. And in doing so, he gave modern economic thought its most powerful Chanakyan lesson. A welfare state, Chanakya had said, is not a luxury, it is an obligation, unquote. The Disaster Management Act defines disasters as a catastrophe, mishap, calamity, or grave occurrence in any area arising from natural, and I underline this, man-made causes, or by accident or negligence, which results in substantial loss of life or human suffering. In modern times, most of the disasters are man-made. We have damaged our ecosystem, and our exploitative lifestyle has led to climate change. The Mother Nature therefore punishes us. Thus, even the natural disasters today are basically man-made, and hence I turn towards all the students present here. Chanakya taught us that a disaster tests the character of the state. A state that fails during disasters loses its right to command obedience. Extending it, I say to you today, it also tests the character of the legal profession. Consider the Bhopal gas tragedy of 1984, one of the worst industrial disasters in human history. The Union Carbide plant in West Virginia had 4-stage mechanical safety mechanism, but the Bhopal plant had just 1-stage manual safety mechanism. Is life of an Indian cheaper than the life of an American? In its aftermath, what did the victims encounter? They encountered not only grief, but decades of litigation, delayed and meager compensation, no criminal liability for Anderson, who was allowed to leave the country, total institutional indifference, and Supreme Court did not do enough. The failure in Bhopal was not only the failure of a corporation or a government, but it was a failure of entire constitutional and legal order to respond with the speed and the humanity that human suffering demanded. We initially filed a case in USA, but the US court told us, go back to your own legal system. As lawyers and law students, we must carry that lesson with us. Law is not merely a profession. It is, at its best, the last line of defense for the most defenseless. In our own times, when COVID-19 was formally notified under the Disaster Management Act 2005, we again saw how the law and public administration intersect in crisis. Again, initially, our Supreme Court denied the mass migration. It was only afterwards it took note of people's sufferings and it started functioning virtually and effectively intervened to make government accountable to provide oxygen. The pandemic reminded us that the rule of law does not take a holiday during a disaster. If anything, it becomes more urgent, more indispensable, and more human. And my last example is 3 years ago, Kerala floods. A moment that has passed into something close to the legend in the annals of Indian civil society. When Muslim mosques were submerged in water, Hindu priests on their own opened the doors of temples for the Eid prayers, and Eid namaz was held in temples. No one said that Muslim prayers cannot be held in the presence of idols. No one argued that our temples have been polluted. The hate project had failed, and people embrace each other like brothers, and people of every faith worked shoulder to shoulder in relief camps when the artificial boundaries of caste, creed, and religion dissolved in the face of shared human suffering. That was not just an act of communal harmony. That was the deepest expression of constitutional fraternity. Did I not teach you that? Look at our preamble, and it makes abundantly clear the only one goal of the Constitution is to have fraternity. I believe that His Excellency is going to deliver lecture around a theme which is so dear to us, to our students, and particularly to the participants of Vidhika 4.0. You are not here merely to learn legal doctrines. You are here to become architects of a just society. You will one day argue in the courtrooms, draft legislations, advise governments, and perhaps sit in judgment over your fellow citizens. In each of these moments, I hope you will remember Chanakya. And I hope you will remember today's lecture of His Excellency. Your Excellency, we are ready to receive your wisdom. This audience of bright students, committed faculty, and passionate practitioners of law is perhaps the most deserving of the insights you carry. I welcome each one of you, and may I now request my own Honorable Chancellor to deliver the presidential address.
His Excellency Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain, retired, Governor of Bihar, Chief Guest of this memorial lecture, Professor Dr. Faizan Mustafa, Vice Chancellor, Chanakya National Law University, learned members of Registry, Patna High Court, the Register and members of CNLU administration, distinguished members of the faculty, distinguished guests, young law friends, members of print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. I must first thank the learned Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Faizan Mustafa, for organizing second Chanakya Memorial Lecture on disaster management and national security, and also inviting His Excellency Governor of Bihar to give lecture on this topic. His Excellency was appointed as a member of National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, and always focused on whole of society approach, public awareness, and strengthening national preparedness against climate-related disaster. Let me start with a quote of His Excellency Governor of Bihar. I quote, "Disaster resilience is not war against an enemy, but against the unknown." I unquote. Disaster management and national security are at first glance two separate conversation, one handled by the relief commissioners and district collectors, and the other by Ministry of Defense and Intelligence establishment. Chanakya in the अर्थशास्त्र has said, प्रजा के सुख में राजा का सुख निहित है और प्रजा का हित में ही उसका हित है. A state which protects its citizen from severe disasters such as floods, cyclones, and droughts is a responsible state which bolsters its national security by conserving its assets, that is, natural resources, its human capital, and future potential. I have come from a state, that is Odisha, which is highly vulnerable to natural calamities like frequent cyclones, floods, heat waves, and lightning strikes. It is having 480 kilometers of coastline, and during the month of September and October, there used to be coastal cyclones. 5 to 6 districts of my state are highly susceptible to severe storms. And during monsoon season, in some of the rivers, there used to be flood. Let me unfold before all of you the cyclones in my state which I have experienced. On 29th October 1999, super cyclone made landfall on the shores of Odisha with wind speed touching 260 kilometers per hour. Torrential downpour and a storm surge that had no regard for anything in its path. At the end of it, about 10,000 people were dead, livestock perished, and crops were damaged to a great extent. The state government set up relief camps, distributed food, initiated recovery process, but it was all response to something that had already happened. The question arose at that time as to whether any of it could have been prevented by taking adequate steps. What followed was a systematic transformation. Odisha became the first state in India to establish dedicated disaster management authority well before National Disaster Management Authority came into existence under the Disaster Management Act 2005. Odisha Disaster Rapid Action Force, which we call ODRAF, was set up in the year 2001 with dedicated Jawans from Special Armed Police, Reserve Battalions, trained in modern search and rescue techniques, latest equipments. Each ODRAF unit was provided with sophisticated equipments for disaster management, including road clearing equipment, branch cutter, tree pruner, boat, generator, medical kit, etc. Cyclone shelters were constructed in coastal villages to provide shelters to vulnerable people during flood and cyclone. Local communities such as Gram Panchayats, Women's Self-Group, trained volunteers were placed at the center of preparedness rather than at its periphery. An early warning system was created capable of reaching the coastal village through sirens and mass messaging. When the next cyclone, Phylin, hit the coastal Odisha, on 9th of October 2013 with wind speed of 260 kilometers per hour, though it caused devastation mostly in 5 districts and extensive damage to the crops, but steps were taken in advance to evacuate 10 lakhs people before landfall. Livelihood enhancement support, cash for work support, shelter support, and community engagement were provided to the affected people. In May 2019, when Cyclone Fani made the landfall with wind speed of 215 kilometers per hour, over 1.2 million had already been moved to safety. NDRF was pre-positioned and death toll stood at less than 100, and it was against 10,000 2 decades earlier. The difference was not that the storm was gentler. The difference was that Odisha had built the system, trained the people, and changed the institutional culture around, and that is how the state prepares for what it knows is coming. Then came Cyclone Dana in October 2024 with 0 fatalities. Property damage was significant, but a fraction of what 1999 had cost. I must mention that when Dana was forecasted, Odisha High Court took suo motu cognizance, directing removal of hazardous structures, ensuring readiness of pumps, stabilizing essential commodities price, and securing hospital access for the citizen. I had the privilege of presiding over the bench in a public interest litigation preparedness, as that proceeding showed is not the administration's obligation alone, it is the judiciary's concern as well. I raise Odisha's experience because Bihar is not in a dissimilar position. I am told that there has been floods along Kosi and Gandak rivers, rendering up to 29 districts out of 38 flood prone. Droughts in more than 11 districts, which are further concentrated in south districts such as Gaya, Aurangabad, and Nawada, which face intense heat waves every summer. Further, I am told that there are some districts of the state which are earthquake prone. Disasters are often treated in legal circles as acts of God that arrive without warning and depart without accountability. The Learned Vice Chancellor just now referred to Disaster Management Act 2005, which defines disaster as a catastrophe, mishap, calamity, or grave concern arising from natural or man-made causes of such nature or magnitude as to be beyond the coping capacity of the affected community. There is a 2025 amendment. It takes that further and it clarifies through an explanation to section 2E that disaster management is not only about responding to what has already gone wrong. It includes reducing the likelihood of it going wrong at all. In practical terms, fewer people exposed to hazards, communities and infrastructure made less fragile, and emergency capacity built before it is desperately needed. The amendment formally defines disaster risk as the potential loss of life, injury, damaged property, assets, economic, social disruption, or environmental degradation, and as a probabilized function of the hazards, exposure, vulnerability, and capacity over a specific period. Nelson Mandela has once observed that safety and security don't just happen. They are the result of collective consensus and public investment. National security is not only about what happens at the borders. It is about the capacity of the state to maintain the confidence of its citizens, the stability of its institutions, and the continuity of its essential functions in the face of any threat or calamity. A prolonged drought that displaces hundreds and thousands of farmers creates social tension that no security establishment can manage easily. A major earthquake in a strategic location can render military infrastructure non-functional at precisely the point it is needed. Repeated floods in border districts can create the kind of administrative vacuum that adversaries have historically been willing to exploit. For a democratic republic like India, responsible to its people and accountable for their safety, disaster risk reduction is not only a welfare measure, it is a matter of national importance and states' commitment to it, and must be comparable with all seriousness. President John F. Kennedy of USA has said that the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. In the realm of public safety and national security, our roof is the statutory architecture we built during the times of calm to protect our citizens when the storm is inevitably hits. It is with this proactive intent that Disaster Management Act 2005 creates a triad institutional structure at the national, state, and district level with specific responsibilities for each institution. It places the National Disaster Management Authority under the Honorable Prime Minister while establishing a dedicated response force and providing for disaster management plans to be drawn up and periodically revised. The 2025 Amendment Act has introduced urban disaster management authorities for state capitals and cities with a municipal corporation, a state disaster response force, and a national crisis management committee for disaster of national ramification. These are welcome additions. I am placing for my dear students some of the few decisions on this topic that is, first is Kishan Patnaik and another versus State of Orissa. It is reported in AIR 1989, Supreme Court 677, where the Honorable Supreme Court has said that the right to relief and rehabilitation is a guaranteed right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, and the state is duty-bound to ensure the same. In the case of N.D. Jayal versus Union of India, reported in 2004-9 Supreme Court cases 362, the Honorable Supreme Court went further, holding that Article 21 of the Constitution of India casts an affirmative obligation upon the state not merely to respond to a disaster, but to prevent, prepare for, and mitigate such disaster. In the case of Repak Kansal versus Union of India reported in 2021-9 Supreme Court cases 251, the Honorable Court prescribed minimum standards of relief, making it unambiguously clear that the state's obligation under Article 21 do not pause during a disaster. In fact, they intensify. Section 12 of the Legal Services Authority Act 1987 sets out who is entitled to free legal services, and Clause E is very specific. It provides that a victim of mass disaster, ethnic violence, caste atrocity, flood, drought, earthquake, or industrial disaster is entitled to state-funded legal assistance. Disaster victims are not a residual category in our legal services framework. The National Legal Services Authority has given institutional form to this through the Legal Services to Disaster Victim Scheme 2010, which obligates Legal Services Authority at every level to assist disaster victims in filing claims, obtaining relief, and accessing rehabilitation scheme. I am told that during COVID-19 pandemic, Bihar State Legal Services Authority reached over 11 lakh beneficiaries under this scheme, providing legal awareness, ration cards, medical assistance and food, and arranging passage home for stranded migrant workers. State of Bihar is the first state in the country to adopt the disaster risk reduction roadmap for 2015 to 2030, targeting, among other goals, a 75% reduction in human injury, 50% reduction in number of disaster-affected persons. District Emergency Response Facility cum training centers are now operational, I am told, across 18 districts with 17 more in the pipeline. 96 permanent flood shelters are in place. Last year, 450 crores were distributed directly to the flood-affected families. Early warning tools such as Sachet App and CDAC system alert communities ahead of disaster, and state emergency operation centers have been upgraded for real-time reporting, app-based monitoring, and resource tracking. The SDRFA also promptly provides financial aids of rupees 4 lakhs in case of death and up to rupees 2.5 lakhs in case of disability. Honorable Chief Minister of the state recently reaffirmed that those marooned by disaster have the first claim on state's treasury, backed by concrete commitments on free food and compensation for crop, housing, and livestock losses. I am quoting Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, the son of this soil, a great poet and freedom fighter. विपत्ति जब आती है, कायर को ही दहलाती है, सुरमा नहीं विचलित होते, क्षण एक नहीं धीरज खोते, विघ्नों को गले लगाते हैं, कांटों में राह बनाते हैं. To my dear students, I would urge you to read carefully every provision of the Disaster Management Act, feel the plight of the disaster-affected victims, and while practicing law, when you come across any such person who is deprived of any benefit under this act or any scheme floated by the central government or the state government, approach the concerned authority and the court and be instrumental in providing necessary relief to them. That is what is called Manav Seva, Madhav Seva. Service to mankind is service to God. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bihar.
I thank His Lordship for the presidential address. Born into law, trained in its finest traditions, and now presiding over its highest court in Bihar, His Lordship brings to this chair a depth of wisdom and experience that this institution is truly privileged to have. We are privileged to have him preside today. Thank you, sir. 4 editions in, and Vidhika just keeps getting better. To the students and the legal aid cell who made this happen, I congratulate you all. Now, let us make it official. I request His Excellency, the Governor of Bihar, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain, to declare the Vidhika 4.0 open.
बैठ जाइए, please sit down. Apologies. Let the administrative thing just take place. May I start? You've already declared Vidhika 4.0 open. Okay. Right. I have the pleasure and the honor to declare Vidhika 4.0 open. Right. The Honorable Chief Justice of Patna High Court, Justice Sangam, Kumar, Sahoo ji, my compliments to you for one of the most outstanding discourses on disaster management that I have heard in many years. The Vice Chancellor, Dr. Faizan Mustafa, Shri Vinay Kumar ji, DGP,
Bihar, Shri J.S. Gangwar, DG Vigilance, Bihar, Shri Santosh Kumar Mal, Principal Secretary, Water Resources Department, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? No. इसको on करिए ठीक तरह से. This is not on. हाँ. पीछे आ रही है आवाज़ में. Sound ठीक करिए.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. You hear me now at the back? Comfortably at the back there? Okay, thank you. What an honor to commence my academic career in Patna by coming to your university. Absolutely honored, Fazan Saab, for having thought about it, for having mentioned it here today, and for having organized it in this wonderful manner completely. I'm honored to be here. This is, by reputation, one of the finest institutions in India, and therefore, commencing my academic journey in Patna through this medium is absolutely an honor for me. Time now is 12 o'clock. We are 30 minutes behind time. It doesn't matter. In the academic world, even 6 hours doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter. So I'm here to speak 40 minutes to you, and after that take half an hour of questions, right? On this subject. It's not necessary to be restricted to this subject alone. There'll be a lot of things I'll be meandering around and speaking to you about, but all related to the subject and related to your academic pursuits of the moment. ये लाइट बंद कर दीजिए पीछे की. If you can put off the lights, the effect of the slides will be better. Yeah. That's a AI generated photograph. आजकल AI generated photographs तो बहुत आसानी से मिल जाती हैं आपको, but I just wanted to show you. See, climate change and global warming, surge in infrastructure, economic development and industrialization, growing urbanization and population clusters. All this is related to disaster management and disaster response. At the same time, this has a cascading effect on national security. When you're looking at national security, the Honorable Chief Justice gave a wonderful definition of it. National security is not just border security, it is comprehensive security. But my mentioning here is related more to border security than anything else, although there will be references to other aspects of security too. You can see a fragile border terrain with landslides and avalanches, how it affects our national security, we'll discuss it. Enemy gets more opportunities. The military has to respond. I think the best example of this is in the year 2020, in the month of April, May, we were suffering the effects of COVID. And that's the time when Ladakh went aflame. If you recall, take your mind 6 years ago, this is precisely the time, 6 years ago. The Chinese decided to come in and pressurize you all along the line of actual control. We were suffering the effects of COVID at that particular time. COVID was a national disaster. I hope you remember, COVID was a national disaster. You also, as law students, need to know the entire response of the Government of India to COVID was under the Disaster Management Act of India, not under any other authority. I still remember the historic moment when we were signing the invocation of the National Disaster Management Act in the month of March 2020. But to go back to Ladakh, COVID in Delhi, COVID in Bihar, COVID everywhere, and here the Chinese are on top of you, in Ladakh certainly. 50,000 troops had to be placed in Ladakh. And those of you who may not know about Ladakh, remember, look at the map of Ladakh sometimes. It is not so simple to take a train and reach Ladakh, to put 50,000 troops there. You have to fly troops into the only single airfield, only 2 airfields there. If you do not have the strategic airlift capability in your country, you will never be able to do it. We were fortunate. The Indian Air Force has got a strategic airlift capability. So we flew in almost 50,000 troops, and in a matter of 2.5 months, we were ready, despite COVID. Now, in the middle of this, let's say if there was an earthquake in Ladakh and the roads had suddenly collapsed, if there had been major avalanches, snow avalanches, what would have been the effect on the mobilization of the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force to Ladakh? I can only second guess it. It would have been disastrous. Absolutely. That's what, when we talk about this is what we mean here. It's gone. This is gone off. Well, while they're getting it on, let me continue speaking. So, that is what we are talking about when we talk about disaster management and national security. It will come up subsequently in one of the slides, but at the moment, let me just mention it. In the year 2023, on the 4th of October, to be precise, on the night of 3rd and 4th of October, most of you would never remember it. There was a massive glof. Can someone tell me what is a glof? Anyone in the audience tell me what's a glof? Ah, thank you. It needs the Principal Secretary of Water Resources to tell you that. Glacial Lake Outburst Flood. GLOF. Glacial Lake Outburst Flood. Anyway, let that be. This issue will come up subsequently. On the 3rd of October, this happened. And on the 7th of October, Hamas decided to attack in Gaza, on the Gaza-Israel border. You found world-breaking news all over. The issue of Gaza was everywhere in the headlines of all major Indian newspapers. And Sikkim, the Gulf of Sikkim, was way down somewhere on page 8 or page 9. You would never remember it happened. I know it because I was in the Disaster Management Authority of India at that time. You won't know that on the 3rd and 4th of October, when the glacier burst, when there was a glacier burst in higher reaches of Ladakh and water came cascading down, the mountain of water was 80 to 90 feet high. It wiped out a full dam. There was an army unit coming down from Sikkim, resting on the bed of the Teesta River. We had almost 30 people who died in that. And the most shocking thing, which I only came to know when I visited there, 3,000 tons of ammunition of the Indian Army got away. No one knows it. Because disaster management is very important for the nation. More important was the Hamas attack. So we always say in national security, it's the romanticism involved which always attracts. You know, war is a very romantic thing. Disaster management is such a mundane kind of a thing. Never attracts attention. But that is what makes the difference, national disaster management. I thought the Honorable Chief Justice gave some standing examples of Odisha, his own state. I may add to that at the national level, the government of India allocated $1 billion to a program called the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Program, NCRMP. And with that $1 billion, the government of Odisha ensured they constructed shelters all along the coastline. Shelters to house 300 to 500 people. Those who did not have permanent shelters are now, therefore moved into those shelters. All the power lines were put underground. All the roads were strengthened and hardened. As a result, when all these cyclones came in the later years, and 2021 also, you found zero casualties. What you found in 1999 was over 12,000 dead. And by this time you found nothing at all. Anyway, I was making up for the break which we had out here. So let me proceed from here. I hope this will carry on. Next. आप वहीं से दबा दीजिए. But you will have to find a way of moving the slides. They don't have that. The IT team of Chanakya University needs to anyway, let's carry on. We can always do without slides also. In fact, yeah, it's come out now. Next. अच्छा छोड़ दीजिए वहाँ पर. Since we are on this slide, and as a speaker, you have always got to make up for all technical glitches that you may have anywhere. It doesn't make a difference. Let's talk on this. The important thing here is, what I was trying to tell you is, this talk of mine is not related only just to disaster and national security. I thought I must just bring in what's happening in West Asia at the moment. What's happening in West Asia, and in the morning I was just listening to the news, I was seeing the arrival of various officials into Islamabad. Pakistan is on a high at the moment, right? Telling the whole world, we are the ones who are finding peace. And of course, everyone is hoping like hell that Hormuz opens up and that oil and energy starts flowing. It's going to take some time. The effects of the economy are rescinded, all this. What you got to just remember is, this war is not a war only being fought army on army or air force on air force. Wars of today are no longer fought by armies, which is why I'm bringing out this term for you, civilian warrior. Every one of you is a warrior. Today's world, the wars of today are only what is called hybrid wars. They are no longer conventional wars. You can call me a warrior, you can call me a soldier. I'm not going to call you a soldier, but I'll call you a warrior. By being a lawyer, you're equally a warrior. By being an economist, you're equally a warrior. Because wars today are fought in different domains, and that's what my next slide is all about. Next. See, that's why I'm making that statement. Preposterous to think that people out of uniform cannot be warriors in the wars that are upon us. Next. Yeah, next. Sunte rahiye zara. The definition of hybrid. What is hybrid war? Ye dekh lijiye. As against your own perception of hybridity, the conflict of the millennium which combines various parts of the spectrum of conflict. Conventional, irregular. Meaning of irregular is something like what may be happening in Myanmar today. That's all irregular. Cyber, most important, cyber. Economic, what's happening in the Straits of Hormuz is all economic warfare. Induced disasters, talk about this separately. Population displacement, transnational crime, terrorism, psychological and information warfare, fake news. Fake news is equally an element of hybrid war. Fake currency, the kind of issues which are happening on the Bangladesh border with the northeast, with West Bengal. And of course, legal warfare. Legal warfare is such an important term. What is happening in the south is all legal warfare. What the Chinese are attempting to do on the border, on the line of actual control, create 600 model villages to convey a message that this is completely a part of China. That's all legal warfare. So who is talking of conventional war today? No one is talking of conventional war. Everyone is talking of hybrid. So everyone has to fight in his own domain, and therefore everyone is a warrior. That's my logic which I'm trying to explain to you. So when it comes to national security, don't start looking at General Atta Hasnain and saying, sir, you are responsible for national security. I'm not. You are equally responsible. That is what must be understood by the citizens of India, that every one of them is a warrior. Next. Yeah, next. Next. Okay, good illustrative example, simple example dealing with hybridity. While you're reading this, मुझसे हर जगह सवाल ये पूछा जाता है कि सर आप तो कश्मीर के स्पेशलिस्ट हैं. Tell us, when is Pakistan occupied Kashmir coming back to India? सब पूछते हैं यही. POK कब आएगा? POK वापस कब आएगा? So my answer to them is, I know that all of you want me to tell you कि हम बमबारी करके, हवाई जहाज भेजकर, AK-47 के साथ फायर करके, बोफोर्स को मार मार के हम POK को ले लेंगे. But sorry, I'm not going to say it. Right? I'm not going to say it. The best way of dealing with national security is to ensure model governance of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. If your governance is model, absolutely, which is what we're looking at and which is what we are progressing to, automatically POK will come into your hands in the near future. Why would anyone want to stay with a country which has got $10 billion in its foreign exchange reserves when you have a nation next door to you which has got $650 to $700 billion in their foreign exchange reserves? Why would you want to aspire to be with a nation which is on one side fighting a war against Afghanistan, on the other side fighting a war against India, and internally fighting with everyone else? So the best form of national security is the aspect of good governance. And who gives good governance? Does the Indian Army give you good governance? We may contribute somewhere. Good governance is your responsibility. You are the citizens of India. And therefore, my argument gets reinforced that you are the warriors who have to fight for this. Next. Yeah. So the intent behind this talk, which I have already covered a major part of this talk already, the intent behind this talk was why disasters are a national security problem. Why disasters on borders are strategic, not humanitarian footnotes. I explained this through the Ladakh example. Why the armed forces never exited disaster management and only misunderstood their own role after 2005. I'll explain it to you. Why future wars will be fought on degraded, disaster-affected terrain. If the Americans have to go in with boots on the ground onto Harg Island in the Persian Gulf, I can assure you they are not going to step into territory which is looking like New York. It's going to be looking like the most degraded craters of the moon probably will be found there. Because what the Iranians will do is what is called scorched earth, which is destroy their own area, destroy their own properties, destroy that area completely so that there are no resources left for the Americans to come and capture or hold. So that's how this kind of a war will be fought in the future. The nuances of this disaster risk management in India, I'm trying to highlight to you. What I want you to remember is disasters are not just aid to civil authority. They are what are called capability erosion events. What is the meaning of capability erosion? If you had gone into Ladakh, okay, the best example is Sikkim, Groff example which I gave you. Although that slide is yet to come, but let me cover it for you here. When the disaster of Sikkim took place on the 4th of October 2023. It took me 12 days to go to Sikkim. Colonel Nadeem sitting here, he and I both went there. Because till then, the realization even in the NDA was not there that this is such a serious disaster. We flew with the Indian Air Force to those areas. We realized no one told us 3,000 tons of ammunition. No one told us that there's a complete capability erosion which has taken place. One of the divisions that mans the border was split into two parts. And if you split a military formation into two parts, you know what the effect of that can be. The Chinese could have walked into Sikkim if they felt like it at that particular moment. You could not defend it. That is the meaning of capability erosion. So disasters can do this. Since we don't have so much of time, let me not stick so much to the slides that I've got here. An equal example of this, last year, we had a situation in the months of August, September, July, August, September, when 4 of our states, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab, were in the throes of paralysis only because of the terrible monsoon that we were suffering. Uttarakhand had a huge cloudburst in a place called Dharali. You will probably remember it. You would see that I've got a slide on that to show you the cascading movement of that slush which came down 30 to 40 meters high, 30 to 40 feet high. Everything got buried in that. Now, that area is the area through which the routes go up to a place called Gangotri. Everyone knows where Gangotri is. Harsil village or town, ahead of that Dharali, and then going up to Gangotri. The road, that night when the incident happened, it took the district magistrate 48 hours to walk and reach there. We were getting frantic because we were not being able to contact the DC. It took 48 hours of walking because there was no road left. Imagine in a state like that, and Gangotri is bang on the border. Your adversary, your enemy, do something against you. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight with what you have? At any good time in peace conditions, you don't have all those resources who are going to fight the border. You got them sitting in Dehradun. You got them sitting in Lucknow and places like that. They will have to move. So if your infrastructure is affected, imagine Kathua in Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab border. The whole bridge, part of the bridge broke. Imagine if Jammu and Kashmir does not have communication arteries moving up to it. What will be the effect on your national security? So that is why when you say aid to civil authority, a lot of people in the armed forces used to believe that disaster management is aid to civil authority. It's not. It's an operational responsibility of the armed forces themselves. And which is why today, professionally, this subject of disaster management is finding so much of focus within the armed forces too. Next, please. Yeah. So this is all about the Sikkim disaster, which I mentioned to you. This is the dam, which on top, if you see the dam, not working, the pointer is not working. The dam on top, that's the one which was washed away. Yeah. Okay, next. Right, I just want to draw your attention internationally. This may be of interest to you. You know, how do disasters directly affect national security? I've given you examples just now of Dharali, I've given you examples of Kathua, Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim, etc. One of the finest ways of understanding this is look back to this issue that you have got at the moment in West Bengal, in Manipur, Assam, where everyone is talking about demographic inversion, movement of alien people from Bangladesh infiltrating inside, etc. Where can you trace whole thing, this whole demographic change which happened, where can you trace this to? If you take it back into history, you will realize in 1970, one of the worst disasters took place in East Pakistan. Month of December. A cyclone which made all the cyclones of Odisha look like baby cyclones. And you know what the casualty figures were? At the end of the cyclone, 500,000 people dead. 540,000 people died. Country was ravaged completely. Pakistan, that time, it was East Pakistan. Pakistan had 4 helicopters. 4 helicopters. Here, when we were having Uttarakhand, Dharali, Kathua, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab floods going on, half the Indian Air Force's helicopters were all deployed there. I can assure you they must have had 30, 40, 50 helicopters roaming around. Here we had 4 helicopters at that time, and light helicopters. No relief. No one in West Pakistan was being able to perceive what the problem is here. People were just getting up and moving and going wherever they could. They couldn't survive there. The survivability of that population became suspect. Borders suddenly become defunct, and people started walking across the borders. That's the first movement of the Bangladeshi infiltration, influx which happened. And anyone who's interested in history should know. The 71 war did not come about just because of, out of nothing, that Sheikh Mujib suddenly created a kind of a revolution. Of course, things were building up with language riots and things like that in East Pakistan. But this was one of the major triggers. This event was one of the major triggers. Sheikh Mujib put in a demand for resources, additional money, and West Pakistan, Yahya Khan would not provide all that. Could not provide all that. And that is the trigger which led to the war of 71. History in the making, everything changed thereafter. Let's look at some more events which have happened in history. Today you talk about Red Sea piracy. You talk about the Houthis also, who are now, blocking the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden and places like that. But Red Sea piracy by the Somalian pirates. And there are a couple of films which have been made. Captain something. What is it called? Yeah, something. Captain this thing, whatever it was. A very good movie. Where does it come from, this problem? This problem has come out of the Somalian drought. Look at history, look at geography. South of that is the area of Somaliland and then Somalia. Somalia is an area perpetually in drought through the 70s, 80s, early 90s. A segment of population which has never seen any form of good life, always dependent on the United Nations. You will find that inevitably at some stage, people start taking law into their own hands. So when you have a large number of people, a large population of people who are uprooted, homeless, without the basic facilities of life, one of the most vulnerable segments of people mentally. These are the elements of who can take law into their own hands. And that's how the entire war in Somalia, this whole area around Djibouti, the Horn of Africa, this is where the problem started. You go to Western Sahara. The drought of Western Sahara is what you can remember, or you can sort of affiliate to the fact that you have movement today of virtual boat people moving through the Mediterranean to come to Italy, Greece, and the other southern European cities and countries. Every other day, thousands of people die in that. in the Mediterranean. Why? Because there are no resources left. Concentration of people without resources, without homelands. And coming closer home, one of the best examples you can think of is Pakistan. Pakistan has had 23 and 24. About 2.2 million people got displaced. The United Nations estimated it would cost about $16 billion to resettle them. Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves are 11 to 12 billion. Where are they going to get $16 billion? Unless the entire Gulf world, the Arab nations all pooled together. That's not going to happen. So you have got now a segment of 2.6 million people who are without homes, without futures, without aspirations. As law students, remember this. On aspects of national security, people who do not, who becomes a criminal? Now you've got the top brass of the police sitting here. They will tell you. People divested of futures, aspirations. Here are the people who are vulnerable, prone to it. The problem that you are looking at the world today, in Pakistan in particular, of radicalism, where does it come from? Trace back into history and see. It all comes from 1981. 81. When the Iranian Revolution took place in 79, and the Russians came into Afghanistan in the end of 79, a huge segment of population from Afghanistan came across the border, 3.2 million people. Along in shanty towns, that's where the first madrasas came up in that area. Right? All prone. To a person who doesn't have a home, who doesn't have money in his pocket and doesn't know when his next meal is coming, you sit with him and infuse ideas in his brain. It sinks in faster than anything. You tell a man, go destroy this, he will do it. That's where radicalism is usually born. Poverty, devastated people. And that is what is created by disasters. Droughts, glacier outbursts, floods. What's happened in Pakistan is all because of floods. So, and such like things. So this is an aspect that you have to remember always, linking national security. The moment you find an area which has got people living under blue United Nations shelters, you can assume, you can be assured that you have got the potential for a spark to come about and create a national security problem for you. Let me probably finish somewhere around this point and take some questions from you. I have many more slides, but let me just take one or two slides more. Aage? Yeah, just go back. In the era of hybrid war, proxies are best created from such disaffected people. If you are reading what is happening in West Asia, I hope you've been reading for the last 3-4 years. The current war is only one segment of it. The entire war, all the security issues of West Asia are based on proxies. Iran's entire method, the IRGC's entire method of fighting the Israelis has been through proxy. Where are proxies created? Through disaffected people. And therefore, anywhere in your nation where you find disaffected people of this kind, be assured you've got a potential security problem available there. Yeah, next. I thought the Honorable Chief Justice defined this beautifully, right? The definition of disasters. You covered it so very well. You and I were quoting from the same, the Disaster Management Act. Disaster means a catastrophe, mishap, calamity, or grave occurrence in any area, arising from natural or man-made causes or by accident or negligence, which results in all this. Remember one thing, a child falling into a well, into a bore well, is actually not a disaster. It is only an accident. But the moment in an accident, you need to get external resources to come and help you with your job. You can call it a quasi-disaster. A disaster is there in the making. The legal aspects of disaster are very important, which the Honorable Chief Justice had explained to you. And we were mindful of it when we were signing invocation of the Disaster Management Act in 2020. Every person affected and the Disaster Management Act has been invoked, the compensation will be as per the Act. You have to remember that. That is the effect on you, straight away. Without the invocation of the Disaster Management Act, maybe perhaps you can still fight it out and the honorable courts may still not grant it to you. That's an aspect to remember. Okay, next. Right. Minor point for you to remember. You don't have too much army in Bihar. Very fortunate, which means that the police forces of Bihar are so competent. This is a great compliment to you. You don't have much army here. Are upar jaake dekhiye Kashmir mein. On every rock you will find an army man. Standing there, sitting there, with his gun. Right? So, this is an issue ki yahan par, if you have a problem, not in security terms, but in disaster terms, if you have a major problem, then mostly things will be done locally by the police force, etc. But if you have to call the army will come from outside. The army is one organization which has got everything under its control. It has got Corps of Engineers, so you got bridge making, you have boats with you, you have hospitals with you, everything is there. Kerala ka abhi bahut acha sunaya, abhi Kerala ka, I think Vice Chancellor had spoken about Kerala. The Wayanad disaster, landslide, which happened 3 years ago. I received the first news of it at 3:30 in the morning. I still remember. And to reach that area, you needed to have a bridge. Ek bridge banna tha. Now, where do you bring a bridge to go over a marshy area 30 to 40 feet deep? Aapka agar wahan par kichad hai. How do you go over that bridge? Who is going to make the bridge? State roads and bridges is not designed to respond like this. They are doing projects. The only people who can come are the armed forces. In this situation, and very interesting, someone remembered there is a Bailey Bridge lying in Bangalore as a training bridge with the Madras Engineering Group. Nahi to koi bridge nahi tha south mein. And we got that bridge, brought it there, constructed it in 16 hours flat, broke all records. And you found photographs of the GOC, the general officer, being the first person to walk over that bridge to reach the other side. And then the whole rescue effort started with that. So somehow after 2005, the army thought, कि अब तो हमारी जवाबदारी नहीं है. Now the NDRF has been made. NDRF is part of the Disaster Management Act of India. National Disaster Response Force, 16 units have been raised. Now it's not our responsibility. What I have been telling the army in the last 6 years everywhere is, aapki jawabdari kabhi khatam nahi hogi. You will always be responsible. Because you are the only people who have got everything with you. The government of India has given you everything. Therefore, you are responsible to give it to the people of India. I hope it is going to the minds of senior commanders of the army, people like me, who felt this way when I was in the army also. But today, outside the army, better educated by coming to institutions like yours, I have a more comprehensive understanding of national security and the responsibility of the armed forces towards national security. I think I'm going to stop here, although I've got 30 more slides for you, but I will not go beyond that, because 40 minutes allotted to me are over. I'm going to take a few questions. If anyone wants to ask me a few questions, I'll be very happy to answer it. I can see your hand going up right at the back. एक एडवाइस मैं दूंगा आपको. At this part of Bihar, this part of the world, educated community like yours, how much are you aware of what an army officer goes through his 40 years of service? मैंने 40 साल में पता नहीं कितने लाख एमुनिशन फायर किया होगा, जिसकी वजह से मेरे कान के पर्दे फटे हुए हैं. I can't hear you too well, so if I am telling you to come forward, please come forward and ask your question. It may be a better thing.
Sure, sir.
Come.
A very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
This is Ayush Vijalwan. I'm a fifth-year student, sir, and I hail from Uttarakhand.
Great. Great.
So, sir, Uttarakhand has been a state that's sensitive both ways, ecologically as well as with its proximity to the border. It's also sensitive for the armed forces. So one thing that is going on there is over-construction, which is attributed to helping the armed forces travel the road constructions there. However, that is also disturbing the ecological sensitivity.
I got your question. I got
So
your
how do we maintain the
I got
fine
your
line?
question. And to say that the first question which I'm getting addressed to me as the governor of Bihar in this fantastic institution exemplifies the outstanding nature of students here. Right? If such question can come, it just shows that whatever I've spoken has sunk in. The question, let me explain to you. The question is simply Uttarakhand, to which he belongs, the state where he belongs, चार धाम यात्रा शुरू होने वाली है. ठीक है? चार धाम यात्रा में पिछले साल 62 lakh people went last year. ये figures are on my fingertips, right? Uttarakhand is also a very sensitive area as far as the Chinese border is concerned. You don't hear too much about problems there. Ladakh, Arunachal, Sikkim में आप सुनते हैं, Uttarakhand का कम सुनते हैं. But let me tell you, Uttarakhand is equally dangerous. And a lot of border population from there has come back. क्योंकि facilities नहीं है border पे. You don't have colleges, you don't have a national law university sitting up at Chamoli. So people are coming to Dehradun. आ रहे नीचे. अब वो border villages खाली हो रही हैं. When border villages get emptied, it's a national security problem. Major problem. Now his question is very correct. He says the army is overbuilding. Because army is, after 2020, wants to defend Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal, Sikkim in a stronger way. Stronger way means more troops have gone up. If more troops have gone up, you need better roads to maintain them. You need better helipads. You need airstrips, all kinds of things like that. अगर आप ये सब construction करेंगे, तो inevitably I second guessed his question. Obviously the hillside is all going to crumble and come down. Landslide होंगे, avalanches होंगे, flood आएंगे, cloudburst होंगे. You are 100% right. And ideally I should say I have no answer for you. But let me make an attempt. Uttarakhand has no other money. कहाँ से आएगा पैसा उत्तराखंड के पास? Tourism, religious tourism, pilgrimage is one of the most important sources of funding for development of Uttarakhand. The governor of Uttarakhand also happens to be a lieutenant general, right? And deliberately perhaps placed there to have this understanding of that area. Now, if you stop all construction activity, you stop Char Dham Yatra mein, you put a cap and say, nahin, 20 lakh se zyada nahi jayenge, automatically it will have an effect on the development status of Uttarakhand. The government of India will have to provide that much more resources at the cost of providing it to anyone else. So there has to be a formula. We have to come to a compromise somewhere, right? Where we say, okay, itna, isse zyada nahi abhi, itna development karenge. Consciousness and awareness has to seep into the thinking of officials. Every department, army itself, मैं तो आर्मी को ब्लेम करता हूं बहुत दफे कि आप ही भाई ओवर सिक्योरिटी को आप देख कर आप हर चीज में ज्यादा कराना चाहते हैं. We don't want 4-lane highways going to Chamoli or going up to Harsil and things like that. 2-lane way roads are good enough. So thoda compromise karna padega. Saath mein, fortunately, the 15th Finance Commission and the 16th Finance Commission, ek slide tha yahan par aapke liye. The 15th Finance Commission gave approximately $26 billion for mitigation to the NDMA for 2021-2026. Up 27 se 32 16th Finance Commission aaya, which is going to give even more. Now, this money, if utilized correctly, with good projects bana ke, project reports bana kar execute kare, best scientific temper lagaye wahan, automatically the slopes will get stabilized. You will put better equipment by the Indian Meteorological Department for getting early warning. Ab ye jo hua tha Harsil mein, no one knows till today ye aaya kahan se pani. No one knows. There were clear open sky tha, aur ekdam se niche aa gaya pani. So a lot of work will have to be done in this. Your question is absolutely, I mean, the fact that you're conscious of it, that's important. And that consciousness must seep into administration and all officials who are dealing with this issue. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you. Okay, a lady, yeah, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Tanu from first year BLLB. My question to you is regarding Bihar, sir. So 73% of districts of Bihar are flood prone due to the downstream river flow from Nepal. On one hand, we see that Nepal is non-cooperating on the fact that we want to build more high dams on these border areas. And on the other hand, we see that China is now building the world's largest dam on Brahmaputra in Tibet. Now, to again weaponize water against us. So do you believe that this constitutes, again, a national security threat on Bihar and other northeastern states? And now do you believe that army has to establish its dominance again in Bihar itself to
I'll stop you
cater
there,
these
but I got your question. I got your question. And Faizan Saab, I don't stop getting amazed by the kind of consciousness and awareness which is there in the eyes of these students. It's amazing, absolutely. I would never have expected this question. The fact that you're asking me this is the question I'm asking everyone who's coming to give me a presentation. I DGP साहब से भी यही बात की. Yesterday only. No doubt. But let me tell you also at the same time, Bihar में काम बहुत हुआ है. There are a lot of work which has taken place. I mean, we heard of Bihar. Leave the disaster side of it. We used to hear of Bihar as a state in chaos at one time, right? 20 years, so much has happened here that I'm proud that I'm today in a state which I can call in a takeoff stage at the moment. But having said that, you are right, we have to be conscious of it, of these issues. The flood problem of North Bihar, few years ago, was something which was so monumental that it could have affected all that has been achieved by Bihar, could have got washed away into the sea. But fortunately, because of the political leadership here, and some very good work done by your State Disaster Management Authority, and your Revenue Secretary, the Water Resources Department and things like that, some great work has been done. Incidentally, the first department that I visited after oath taking was to the State Disaster Management Authority, right? Because I found I needed to convey this message that I'm most concerned about North Bihar. But I was pleasantly surprised to see the kind of work which has gone on. Not to say that the problem has been completely neutralized. Darbhanga. Colonel Nadeem used to be here, tells me, Darbhanga mein to pani itna. Shehar ke andar itna pani. I was wading through it. He was doing some recruiting rallies out here, and he was wading through water which was knee deep. Ab to nahi hai. Because bunds have come all around, construction has taken place. Scientifically, it has been approached. The Disaster Management Authority has done some outstanding work on early warning, this so-called Nitish pendant and things like that. Not many people seem to be aware of it, but it is some great work has been done here. But the issue with Nepal is more of a geopolitical issue. And I think yesterday only I was reading, we are fortunate, changeover of government in Bangladesh has been positive to us. The change of government which has happened in Nepal is also positive to us. Hopefully, with this new change, a better understanding and a better relationship will emerge. The importance of good relations first, geopolitical relations, that is what will lead to creating a dependency for Nepal on us. If that dependency is created, then automatically cooperation is of a higher order. And you very correctly said, you need to build dams, funding can be given by India. Know-how can be given by us. We've got all the know-how of the world on dam building, road building, infrastructure, etc. today, right? Hopefully, you will see this happening in the next few years. It's not a magic wand. Bihar will continue suffering for some time, all this, but nevertheless, you will find far better early warning, greater infusion of funds for creation of higher bunds in those areas where the Kosi, for example, comes cascading down every year, and things of that nature. Hopefully, we are on the path to improvement. That improvement in the world of disaster management cannot take place overnight. It has to happen progressively. One more question at least. Yes, ma'am.
A very good afternoon, sir. So my name is Prachi Shrivastava, and I'm Assistant Professor of MGM College of Law. First, and thank you, CNLU, for giving us opportunity to be part of this lecture. And thank you, sir, for this wonderful, informative disaster management lecture. Sir, I have a question which is more from a student or academician's perspective. So when we go to Delhi, we have a lot of think tanks where students or young graduates or lawyers especially can be part of think tank and they can contribute in policy making, sir. So my question is, if we see in Bihar, certainly we have think tanks here also. But sir, I just wish, can we have more active think tanks so that we as academicians or students can contribute and we can build our career in think tanks?
I got your question. I got your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
The issue is that every one of you is so intelligent that the way you put it across, it takes 2 sentences for me to understand it.
Thank you, sir.
I need a little water to lubricate my throat. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Sit down, ma'am, please.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, it's a question after my heart. Absolutely. When I retired from the army, I never retired, I re-retired after 2013. I got into this academic world on geopolitics, national security affairs, etc. I felt not enough people knew much about national security. There were lots and lots of premium think tanks in Delhi. Vivekananda International Foundation, of which I am a distinguished fellow myself, the Delhi Policy Group, right? Many, Senjos, Indian Council for World Affairs, so many of them. But everything is concentrated in Delhi. So by 2014, I said, it's my national responsibility to take this out to tier 2, tier 3 cities. So I experimented with Varanasi. And we created, along with BHU, we created a small think tank called Kashi Manthan. It's very much functional even today, let me tell you. We need many more people in Delhi to do this. Pune has now emerged with Pune International Center, which has come up. They've emerged. Behind it are a few diplomats and a few senior army generals, right? I would seek many more people from the bureaucracy to come forward and do this. Many people from the legal profession. I don't find enough people from the legal profession who are in think tanks of this kind today. And when you are looking at geopolitics, it requires a tremendous kind of a orientation of law, legal issues, right? So what your observation is 100% right. Let's make a model of it in Patna. Let's do it in Patna. Okay? And Faizan is here. Sorry? Yeah, in CNLU. We'll do it here. We'll start from here. We'll have a competition, first of all, for the name of the think tank itself. The student who gives me the best answer will get a 10,000 rupee prize. Done? And then slowly we'll have build a small coterie around it, take it forward to see how we can do it, and then open it out to the rest. It's not important to do it in Patna alone. This has to, as I've told in Bihar, भारत को बिहार के लोग चलाते हैं और खुद ही बाहर जाते हैं पढ़ने के लिए. I mean, it's such a misery to see the people of Bihar, the most educated people who are running India, have to go outside Bihar to study. Let's create that culture, let's create that kind of a knowledge bank here with which people can get attracted to it. So I think this is a good proposal. We will take this on. Can I take one last question? Two sides. I'll come back to you. So let's have one from there. I'll come back and take that last one. आइए आगे आ जाइए. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. It's an absolute privilege to have you as here. Some question is, after facing crushing defeats in conventional wars, most notably in 1947, 65, 71, Pakistan adopted a 1,000 cuts doctrine of cross-border militancy to maintain plausible deniability. We saw this escalate with the Uri and Pulwama terror attack, which India answered decisively with surgical strikes.
सवाल पूछिए. Statement मैं समझ गया.
Sir, so my question is, now the Pakistan are using homegrown terrorism model, which is they are radicalizing the people of India to kind of wage war against the government. So, as a veteran soldier yourself, how can we counter this?
How can we?
Means the agency itself, the Indian government.
No, please be specific. You are asking me how India can assist Pakistan?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. A good thinking question. That's a good question. Because normally people only talk about Pakistan's potential of, rather its negative potential and what effect it can have on us, which has had for the last, almost 36 years now. That cascading effect is continuing. Remembering the famous statement of Hillary Clinton, that if you have snakes in your backyard, don't expect that they will not bite you one day, right? Obviously. So Pakistan in 1977, one day, Faizan Saab, one day we will conduct a talk for you on the Kashmir issue, right? And that cover this extensively. But having said that, the issue of Pakistan's involvement in Kashmir, leave out the 65 and leave out the 71. 71 became a trigger. 77 is the most important year. The year when Ziaul Haq came to power. Decided enough is enough. Civilians जो हैं वो कभी भी पाकिस्तान की revenge against India, the civilian administration can never sort of get. He decided somehow or the other a retribution against India has to be executed for what happened in 71. He realized that fighting India conventionally was not easy. It's too large an army, too large an economy. So a conventional war, Pakistan will not be able to last out. The smarter way of fighting is to fight hybrid. ये term hybrid वहीं से आया है, उससे पहले से आया है. But 77, the person who gave first direction on the issue of hybrid war was Ziaul Haq. Ziaul Haq said, पहली चीज, He said, India is going nuclear. Let me go nuclear. If India has 100 bombs and I have got one bomb, hamari parity hai. Anyone who understands nuclear warfare should remember this. You may have 100 bombs and I have got one bomb, we are on same terms. That's what he did. He created the bomb. The second thing he did was 1,000 cuts. ऐसी policy follow karo, ऐसी strategy karo, that India is made to bleed, India is made to commit its armed forces, India is made to come to the table, negotiate finally on Kashmir. India was always willing to negotiate on Kashmir, but after the Shimla agreement, it was clear it will be done bilaterally. And our position after 89 has been very clear. Now, no terror, no talks. More after 2008, particularly. So this pinpricks of 1,000 cuts, which was adopted in 1989, has been the mainstay of Pakistan's policy. The term I used, proxies, Pakistan adopted proxies. So what you've seen, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed have all been proxies, essentially. Now Pakistan has got a homegrown problem. It's got the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which has been created after 2007 very famous Karachi, the very famous Lal Masjid incident in Rawalpindi. So, and they've got the Baluch Liberation Army. They've also got all kinds of other elements, the Punjab, Kashmir-based, Kashmir-related terror groups, etc. No, you can't live with a policy to say that these are my friendly terrorists and these are my unfriendly terrorists. No nation in the world can live with that. So this is what Hillary Clinton said very clearly. If you think that you can keep snakes in your backyard and they're not going to bite you, these same snakes are biting Pakistan today. Can India help them? Issue is, why should we help them? I mean, these are the same characters who have done all this to us. Let Pakistan suffer for that. If Pakistan is willing to guarantee that they will not sponsor any more terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir or anywhere rest of India, which they will never guarantee. If they can guarantee that, definitely India and Pakistan can get together, work together to try and bring about development in some of those areas outside, which can ensure the settlement of all these displaced people like the ones I spoke about. But that's a long-term issue. I think that is only something which is hypothetical. The situation, to my perception, will continue as it is. The only thing is that we are moving through some very interesting times. If this morning's news, you're seeing Pakistan, says sky-high confidence. Geopolitically, they scored something great by being able to get the Americans and the Iranians to come to Islamabad and sit together. Not that much is going to be achieved out of it, but symbolically, they are the ones who have achieved it. This is going to put them on a higher geopolitical plane. Now, that is going to create confidence. Like Asim Munir, you can't trust what he will do next. So always, and since there's no media here, I can always tell you this. Pahalgam happened because of your success in Kashmir. The more you succeed, the other side will want to bring you down. So, Pahalgams will take place. They will happen. Any good security man will tell you 100% infiltration. I mean, infiltration cannot be stopped 100%. Incidents cannot be stopped 100%. You will achieve 99%, one will get through somewhere. And that one is the perpetrator of this kind of a chaos which happened in Op Sindoor last year. I hope at the end an interesting thought which I will leave behind with you. In 1965, Pakistan got virtually defeated, well, if not a declared defeat. Patangad ban gaya. South Punjab, a lot of areas, they were completely destroyed, their armor, etc. But the greatest thing Pakistan did was they declared 6th of September as Victory Day. और 1965 से 2025, 60 years तक everyone is celebrating Victory Day. उसमें 100 ambassadors कम, 100 defense attaches कम, सब चाय पीते हैं, कोफ्ते खाते हैं, बिरयानी खाते हैं, and they go back and Pakistan won the war of 65. You are going to see the same thing happening after Sindoor Day. 8 मई को फिर पाकिस्तान सेलिब्रेट करेगा कि हमने सिंदूर जीत लिया. The world is today the world of communication and the world of information. जो पहले कहेगा मैं जीता, जीत उसकी हो गई. So you have to be very careful of this. We should be mindful of this. That's what I'm saying. We should be very mindful of this because Pakistan, the way it functions, it's a past master on this communication game of, fake currencies, misinformation, information warfare. This is something on which Pakistan is absolutely outstanding. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It was a great effort. Oh, you want a question there? We'll discuss outside. And I promise you, next time I'm here, please identify yourself right in the beginning and you ask the first question. Okay, thank you.
Hello. I request everyone to please give a standing ovation to His Excellency. And with that, we conclude an amazing session. I request everyone to please keep standing for the national song and national anthem.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sukhalam, Malayaj Sheetalam, Shashya Shamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsalam Pulakit Yamini, Fulla Kusumit Drumagal Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhdam Varadam जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I request everyone to please be at their respective places till